is a painting that I worked on into the night last night. I was finishing it, the basic part of it anyway, and then realized I needed to have a fresh eye this morning. So I'm actually still in my PJs standing here, realizing that what it needs is for this area down here, these lower petals, to have a little bit more color to them so that the area up here, these petals that are in the bright light, there's more contrast, so that this is brighter as compared to this. And so what I'm doing is what I call stand-up painting. I like to do this sometimes at the end of my painting process, where I take a big fat sloppy brush, and this one is a Princeton Neptune, which has particularly soft bristles, and um, and a lot of water and just little bits of paint, and kind of wash over some of these light areas here. And I'm not even gonna look at my reference photo. Look at that, I dropped right there. I'm not even gonna look at my reference photo. I'm just gonna kind of play and look at what the local color that's already there. So I primarily used three pigments painting this, something that an idea I got from my last painting, my big clock. This is New Gamboge, and I'm just going to kind of dab here and there with that where I already see New Gamboge, just accentuate it, but without worrying too much about it. And then the lines are, the brush marks. I'm just going to try to sort of deepen the yellow that I already see there. I love New Gamboge. It is just the best warm yellow, the best yellow orange pigment going. This has gotten a little bit sort of polluted. This New Gamboge here, it's not perfectly pure. It's a little brighter than that, but I don't like, it's fine. It's fine to have a little bit of impurity on the painting. There's lots of it. It's mixed up. And then this is my go-to pink permanent rose, or quinacridone rose. This is actually Daniel Smith quinacridone rose. That's a little intense, so I'm going to lift it up a little bit. This is a peace rose and a bunch of lilacs, and I'll show you the full painting at the end, that were blooming last spring. This is April 2015. It was April 2014, and I went into our side yard in the back and saw this one clump of lilac bloom and this peace rose, and it there was nothing else in bloom. Nothing else in bloom. It was just those two things, and it just was pre-Easter, and it was too early, and it just sort of felt like if these two things were blooming all by themselves back there, that they needed to be a painting. So I picked them and put them in this little simple vase and brought them up to where we have a little bit of sun. We have a somewhat sun-challenged yard here, and put them on the railing of the deck off of the upstairs bedroom, and took a bunch of pictures, and this is it. The lilac was such a challenge to paint. All this detail I'll show you here for a second. And this blue is manganese blue hue, which is actually a derivative of phthalocyanine. I can say that this morning, it's early. Phthalocyanine blue. This needs to be more pink here, actually. I'm going to lift up this blue. It's a really sweet, soft blue, but it's with blues, it's really, really easy to have them be quite impactful, shall I say. But it's necessary. If I just had the yellow and the pink, it wouldn't have near the dimension that it does. It's also something about just laying water over the elements of a painting at the end that kind of do something. It can kind of fuse things and calm them down, and but it also can kind of, you can lose definition, so you have to be mindful as to how you do it. This might be enough, just a little bit of color here and there. When I was looking at it, when I was laying in bed last night and I had it propped up next to the bed, I was noticing some of these bright spots here that needed just a little bit of color so that they don't look white. A little blue in there, maybe just a little bit of pink there. Oh, look at that spot there, that needs some yellow. It's turned in. It's quite amazing to me how just a little tiny bit more color can make white a huge difference. I don't want to lose all the lights, but they won't go away completely because I'm hitting over the darker areas too. So relatively, it's all getting more color, the light and the dark. And I think what I'm going to do is just give this whole yellow center a little bit more new gamboge. Isn't that gorgeous? Gosh, isn't that just the most beautiful color? This sort of inner area here, just give it a nice wash over of new gamboge. And it will settle down when it dries. It's very, with watercolor, so watercolor is remarkable how much it will sort of lose its vibrancy when it dries. Our medium is quite matte. Like that. Lift that up. Put a little more pink on this one. Yeah, that's better. More pink instead of yellow. And then this little petal, it's kind of emerging. It's got this brightness at the top of it, and it's quite bright, but I don't want to completely lose that. Look at me, I'm making a mess of this painting. Some of us are super neat, and some of us aren't. It's just how we come. This is such a kind of a mental relief to paint this way, based on how I usually paint, because I'm so wanting for it to be real, wanting for it to look like the thing that we know in life, the rose. That there's so much sort of focused concentration in my painting that I'm not just sort of freewheeling, and so to just sort of look at the painting and respond to it with a nice big fat brush and some real juicy color is really fun for me. Let's see, this needs a little bit more something. Maybe a little layer of pink in here. Quin rose, such a lovely color. And painting this way is kind of risky too. So you have to have a little bit of chutzpah if your mind works like my mind does. You know, I think this whole section here needs to be yellow. Where you kind of want it to have a certain faithfulness, integrity with the subject matter. All the way up in here too. This was bright yellow. Yes, this is so good. It's like meeting the painting at another level to paint this way. Just take it to the next level of intensity and refinement. It's good. Okay, let's look at down here, see how we're doing. Because this was the area that really looked to me like it was competing for the light bright. There are a few bright spots like right here, but for the most part, it isn't. So I'm going to call that done. This is the part I started. I used this as a demonstration for a class last summer. I did finding the color in white. This is a white railing and it's filled with color. I used a lot of sedimentary pigments, cobalt turquoise and cobalt blue, some yellow. And then I picked it up this spring and painted this vase. It's all quite abstract, isn't it? The water reflection, I have no idea what that is. There are the stems. And there's the water line there with the bright sun shining through the empty spot of the vase. And here is the lilac that kicked my butt to paint. Holy cow. All that detail finding my way through. I thought I loved to detail, but I do. But it was definitely... There's a leaf. More leaves. These got another layer last night. Revisited them. And the top of the rose. This peace rose. I let myself get kind of intense with some of this. Even more so than it is in the painting. And layers of color. Pink and blue and yellow. Red and blue and yellow, the primary colors. I love little notches like that. Isn't that cool? The purple around it. Step back and see the whole thing. I was going to call this painting Peace because it's a peace rose, and I'm doing this thing where I like these single word titles. But this morning looking at it, it wants to be something else. And I'm going to write about this later. It wants to be still. So there it is. Still.